Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. My name is Hextrix, and I want to start off by thanking all of my viewers out there. I've just hit 1,000 subscribers and was approved for the Razor affiliate program. I'm really excited about that. I could not have done that without all of you, so thank you. Today I wanted to do something special for all of my viewers out there. My very first build I named the Heroes Never Die build. The set itself was a decent build, but it was my very first video, and it's a little outdated. Not to mention a little hard to watch, especially that intro. And as a special thank you to all my viewers, I wanted to revamp this build with all the new gear that we now have available, as well as mention that this will be perfectly timed with the new Arch-Tempered Vaal Hazak that's coming out later. So again, thank you all, and let's get to the set. So to start off, we do have the Empress Cane Ruin augmented with health regen, the Dragon King eye patch, Vaal Hazak chest, gloves, and waist beta, Kulv Taroth's Wrath beta, as well as a Mighty 2 charm. Now, after jewel socketing, the skills that we will have are the Vaal Hazak Vitality, which will allow us to permanently regen health passively past the red bar. Next, we have Recovery Up 3 to increase any healing received by 30%. Yes, I have done extensive testing, and it does affect any income health. Now, some of it barely makes a difference, while other skills receive a huge impact. Next, we have Recovery Speed 3, which will quadruple our passive health regeneration. Weakness Exploit 3 for the 50% affinity to weak points. Peak Performance 3 for an additional 20 attack when at full health, which is extremely easy to maintain with this set. Maximum Might 3 for another 30% affinity while at full stamina. Effluvia Resistance 3 to counter Vaal's Effluvia buildup. This is going to be mandatory against Arch-Tempered Vaal Hazak. Next, we have Wide Range 2. Unfortunately, all of your healing bonuses do not benefit this skill at all, so it's only really here due to gear selection. Next, we have Blast Attack 1. Now, I opted to shy away from Blast Attack 3 because 1 point of blast brought the weapon from 120 to 140, and it requires an additional 2 points in blast just to bring it from 140 to 150. So I felt like this was really too much of a skill sink to get any real noticeable difference beyond that first point. But next up, we have Protected Polish to give us that 1 minute of protected white sharpness. And then finally, we have the Hasten Recovery from the Empress Cane Ruin for that additional health regen when you continually attack a monster. But let's go ahead and take a look at the jewels we socketed to achieve these skills. Alright, so we have a Sharp Jewel in the Glaive, a Mighty Jewel in the Eye Patch, one Recovery Jewel, 3 Medicine Jewels, 3 Miasma Jewels, and a Tenderizer Jewel, and a Blast Jewel. But let's go ahead and see how the setup fares against a Tempered Vaal Hazak. Alright, so for food buffs, we didn't take anything special, just an attack up large food buff. When doing this, I do recommend drinking a max potion just to get up to full health. Also, with the peak performance, I forgot to pull it up in this video, but before your Kinsect buffs, you will have a sheet damage of 775, which is actually quite impressive. Now, I'm sure you've seen other Vaal Hazak videos and how I pull them. Just grab some stones here real quick so we can knock those teeth down. Let me go ahead and equip my flash pods here. And then I'm just going to use my my demon powder. Now, I can't see him on the minimap. I've just done this enough times to know. Should be right about now. There we go. Go ahead and unequip those, and I'm going to throw on my Rocksteady Mantle. Now, because we are using Protective Polish, I'm going to go ahead and sharpen here real quick. Knock those teeth down. Now, just a heads up with the Arch-Tempered Vaal Hazak. When pulling, you will not have those teeth hanging from the ceiling. So while you still can pull Vaal, you won't be able to utilize them as an early damage pull. So just be mindful of that. And I know a lot of people are going to say that Styx is going to be a better variant for the Lunastra weapons, and while I would agree with that 90% of the times, this set will be the exception for that. since we are using protected polish for our sharpness and not relying too much on that blast damage, we can solely focus on the fact that it does have a higher raw damage. Not to mention the haste and recovery, which is the same as the set bonus for the Nergigante set, is extremely underrated for aggressive playstyle. Now, there is a lot of debate up on the efficacy of the skill, and what I've found is that if you are an aggressive player, this skill is extremely handy. Not to mention that due to all the other lifesteal and life regen capabilities of this build, it allows us to be that aggressive playstyle with little fear of dying. Another question I do get from a lot of my Glaive players is, what combo do I use? And it's not really as simple of an answer as that. A lot of it has to do with positioning. And I'll end up using most of them, depending on where I'm standing, where the monster's positioned, which way I'm facing. And I feel like the Glaive does best when constantly repositioning properly, since a majority of its attacks do replace you to some degree either forwards or backwards. So really, if you're new to the Insect Glaive, just try to get a feel for the weapon. Play around with it, use your different attacks. Your ground attacks are going to be your primary damage. Aerial attacks, generally speaking, do a very minimal amount of damage, and I don't recommend it unless you're trying to get a mount off. Generally speaking, I don't recommend going for mounts in solo play, but I do recommend them in group settings. Now, for the Kinsect, Pseudocath again is the best choice for this weapon. Not only does it have the best overall damage, but the blast clouds stack with the blast status of the Glaive. I have my Kinsect augmented with Dragon. I really need to take this off. The raw damage is going to be the best way to go with this in most cases. And since it's the primary go-to Kinsect, if you do have it set up with an element, I do recommend taking that off. But again, that's going to be a preference, and do what you will with that. Now, I do mention in my very first video about the teeth hanging from the ceiling, really hoping and hinting that at a siege against the Delameter. Again, pure speculation, but if you've not played the previous Monster Hunter games, the Delameter is a massive steel-bladed python, and I mean massive. It is one of the largest creatures in the Monster Hunter series, and I would absolutely love to see this come into World. It has the potential for, you know, just something new and unique, but also a lot of that nostalgia value that some of the older players would really like to see. I know I'm not the only one that would like to see that come to fruition here. Now, as for back to the weapon here, with Ruin, so far I've only had to sharpen technically twice if you count sharpening before starting the fight, but we're still at white sharpness with one sharpen. So all in all, I mean, the difference between this and Styx really is just that extra blast, and the additional raw attack that we're getting out of this is extremely beneficial. So just go ahead and recollect the buffs here. We will probably end up having to sharpen one more time throughout for the, oh, maybe not. Just limping away. So ultimately, I mean, when you look at the Razor Sharp versus the, you know, haste and recovery, Razor Sharp is a great skill, don't get me wrong, and like I said, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna recommend, you know, the Lunastra weapon, but here, we just needed that little extra raw damage, and the synergy, again, if we're going for a full vampire build, why wouldn't you take the extra lifesteal? I mean, it just kind of makes sense. Now, white sharpness, oh, there we go, dead. Let's take a look at the time. Oh, 6 minutes, 25 seconds. Let me go ahead and pull that back up. That might have been a little too fast for you. Again, this build should be excellent for taking down Arch-Tempered Vaal Hazak. I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch the video. If you did enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Also, the upcoming videos will be left in the description link above, so check that out. If you would like to see a particular weapon or have a request, feel free to leave a request in the comments section below. And as always, happy hunting!
Well,